Good afternoon, Niner fans. How we doing? The 49ers 53-man roster is set. We're going to talk about it. I'm sure you saw every damn last post out there, every update. It was a crazy day. It was a very crazy day. I knew it was going to be a crazy day, but hey, that's what we do this for. We're going to talk about the 53-man roster. We're going to talk about the cuts and players that could be back in the practice squad. Any surprises? I got a lot of surprises. And then we're going to talk about happy Tuesday. Hey, everyone. This is Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. What's up, man? I mean, Valdez, let's just get right to it. I'm going to pull up. I have the list of everything that the Niners did to get to 53-man roster. We're going to go through it player by player. Then we'll talk about the offense. We'll talk about the defense. I don't know, man. Niners, I don't know what their thinking is. I get it. There's some players that you're like, okay, we got to cut, and maybe they'll get them back on practice squad. But there's some players that I don't think they're going to be able to get back. And there's some players that just should have been on the 53-man roster. Like Chase Lucas, he made the roster. He definitely deserved it, right? And now let's get through this list. The following players were released, okay? Robbie Chosen. I mean, you got no wide receivers on your roster, and you're gonna waive or release Robbie Chosen. Hopefully they bring him back. Now, he's a guy that might come back to the practice squad, or they might just sign him to the roster, depending on what's going to happen. Jacob Cowing is on the roster, and he's got a hamstring injury that he's going to miss 6 weeks. So there's like roster situations where you can't just put him on the injured reserve. You have to know if he's designated to return, he's going to have to return. So I think they're trying to figure it out with Jacob Cowing, and that wide receiver situation is kind of bleak. Look at this. They cut Robbie Chosen, and they released Russell Gage, two receivers that could help him. Obviously, Russell Gage is dealing with the MCL, but hopefully he could come back. And maybe they're saying, okay, he's injured, where there's no risk for him to be claimed by anybody else. We can put him back on the practice squad. So Russell Gage, he could come back to the practice squad. Robbie Chosen could come back to the practice squad. But I feel bad for Robbie. Did you put him on the roster over Jacob Cowing? You could have put – at this point, I don't even know if Jacob Cowing, if he comes back, if he's going to be effective. Robbie has worked his damn ass off, man. So I hope they bring him back. They released offensive lineman Michael Dunn. He was a camp body at offensive line. They released Jonathan Garvin. They released Trevis Gibson, who I felt like was a pretty good defensive lineman, good edge rusher during training camp and during the preseason. He probably will come back on the practice squad. They released Fabian Moreau, cornerback, Bruce Hector, defensive lineman. Those two guys are just really camp bodies. They released Isaiah Hodgins, wide receiver, probably come back to the practice squad. He was a camp body. Now, this one was surprising. They released linebacker Curtis Robinson. It took me by surprise. I was actually very surprised they cut Curtis Robinson. I thought he was going to make the 53-man roster. You know, he's loved by the team. He has great locker room presence. I mean, this guy was their Walter Payton Man of the Year guy. He was probably going to get onto the practice squad, but he's good at special teams. Like, I was surprised they didn't keep Curtis Robinson, okay? Chaz Surratt, I wasn't surprised because I didn't have him on my 53 roster, but, you know, when you see a name like that, it's like, oh, man, it just shows you linebackers are aplenty on the 49ers roster. They released Chaz Surratt, Malik Turner, and then Jeff Wilson Jr. I felt it was coming. I knew it was coming. I said it was coming. But when it happened, I was like, oh, gut punch. It was like a gut punch seeing Jeff Wilson Jr. get cut. And I really hope he comes back. I really want Jeff Wilson Jr. back, at least on the practice squad. But here's the thing, and I think Isaac Guerrero is a good running back. Like, can he stay healthy? It might have been better to keep Jeff Wilson Jr. I know he's a little older, but he knows the system. He knows how to play in this offense. He's been seamless in his transition back to the 49ers. So you really hate to see a guy like Jeff Wilson Jr. leave because he was working his tail off tremendously during this whole situation. So we'll see. Now, the following players have been waived. So these guys have been waived. They have to clear a waiver for them to get them back. Now, Junior Bergeron, we pretty much knew that was going to happen. He fumbled his roster spot away. He could come back on the practice squad. Stone Blanton, linebacker. Just too many linebackers on this team that are capable of making it. Hopefully he clears and he could come back on the practice squad. I like Stone Blanton. William Bradley King, defensive lineman. He was just a camp body. I don't think he's going to come back. Derek Canteen, he was waived. He was a defensive back. He showed a little bit of talent here and there. I don't think he might come back for the practice squad because they need defensive back depth. Now they had this one was surprising. Dallas Flowers, cornerback. I could not believe Dallas Flowers was released from the team, waived from the team. I thought they'd keep him. I thought he was going to make the roster. I mean, I was shook. I guess they kept Darrell Luter over him. I really was surprised. I hope he clears and they could get him on the practice squad because Dallas Flowers was sensational through training camp and everything preseason. I liked him, and I can't believe he, was waived. Now, Jalen Mahoney, a little surprising. I thought, he was going to get waived, but as the day started going over, I was like, nah, he might not. He might make this roster, but I feel like Jalen Mahoney had a good preseason, but it wasn't like overly surprised, but it definitely was something that when he started getting down to it, you're like, he might actually make it. So we'll see. Drake Nugent, the offensive lineman, he just hasn't really hit that talent. We all thought he was going to be something, but he'll probably make the practice squad. Now, this one, Niner fans were sent in shockwaves. These next two Niner fans were sick. I was sick. Tariq Owens was waived. Now, I saw it. We all knew it was coming. He wasn't going to make it to the roster. But at this point, you got no healthy receivers. I mean, it's tough. I know he'll clear, and I'm pretty sure they'll bring him back on the practice squad. But Tariq Owens, man, Niner fans love him, right? You got to love that. He has bloodlines in him from the Niners. Now, this one right here was the biggest. This was it. I just can't understand it. I can't justify it. I don't know what they were talking about. Sebastian Valdez, ladies and gentlemen, Sebastian Valdez was waived. I don't know why. You tell me why. Give me a reason. I just can't figure out why Sebastian Valdez was waived. I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I can't even make sense of it. It was ridiculous. Sebastian Valdez should have made the 53-man rosters. Like, just tell me how he gets, cut from this team. I don't understand it. I really don't. Let me tell you the defensive line. You got Bryce Huff. You got Robert Beal Jr. You really think Robert Beal Jr. did better than Sebastian Valdez? Evan Anderson, I felt like it was going to be between Evan Anderson and Sebastian Valdez. I thought Evan Anderson was going to get released, but I don't hate Evan Anderson staying on the roster. You got Jordan Elliott, Sam O. You got Kalia Davis, and then you got Yetur Gross-Matos. They activated him from the PUP and put him on the roster. Now, that was roster. I honestly, you should have kept Yetur Gross-Matos on the defensive line or on the injured reserve or the PUP or whatever the case is, and you should have brought back Sebastian Valdez because I guarantee you Yetur Gross-Matos is going to get hurt this season. This man has not been able to stay healthy. He hasn't proven anything. And then you get rid of Sebastian Valdez, who's a very good, young, promising player. I'm sure he'll get cut. I'm sure he'll get claimed by someone. He'll get claimed by someone. I just could not believe it. Alfred Collins, Nick Bosa, Mykel Williams, and CJ West round out your defensive line. I just cannot understand why Valdez was. I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Are you guys shook? Are you shook as me? I don't know if these comments are working today. Doesn't seem to look like the comments are working. But if you could comment, make sure you comment. Let me know what you guys think about Sebastian Valdez not making the initial 53-man roster. I pray that he clears waivers and they can get him back. But I'm pretty sure he is not clearing the waiver. If he clears a waiver, holy smokes, I'll be shook. And then a little bit of a surprise, Braden Willis, the tight end, was waived. I thought he was going to make this 53-man roster. They got Jake Tongas over Braden Willis. Jake and George must be tight. If you know, you know. I think George Kittle likes Jake Tongas, and that was a George Kittle decision because I thought Braden Willis was the better tight end overall. Nick Zakelj, I could not believe when Nick Zakelj was – I was like, oh, Nick Zakelj is released? I thought it was going to be roster politics. I thought they were going to cut him, and I thought they were going – or sorry, I thought they were going to keep him and cut Drew Moss. Drew Moss made the roster. Last night, if you guys know, myself and Brock Lesnar we went and paid Kyle Shanahan a visit. Now, what did we do? We can't tell you anything because there's legal ramifications and stuff. But let's just say Drew Moss made the roster because myself and Brock Lesnar took care of business. That's all I'm going to say. A little F5, a little this. I can't tell you everything, but I'm going to tell you, myself and Brock Lesnar made sure Drew Moss made the roster. And Nick Sakelj, maybe he'll come back to practice squad. I really don't care about Nick Sakelj. Now, the following players have been activated from the active PUP list. Yetur Gross-Matos. Again, I'm so surprised. The following players have been placed on the injury reserve list. Kevin Givens and Jacob Robinson. Givens with the pec injury. Jacob Robinson has a fractured forearm. Kevin Givens was designated for return, so he might return later in the season. The following players have been placed on the reserve PUP list. Brandon Ayuk and Malik Mustafa. The following player has been placed on the reserve non-football injury list. Curtis Rourke, we all know he has the ACL. And then the following two players have been placed on the reserve suspension list. Isaac Alicorn, he was taking performance-enhancing substances, and the league's substance abuse policy was broken, along with Demarcus Robinson. Isaac Alicorn, 6 games. Demarcus Robinson gets 3 games. That's what happened to the 49ers. That's how they were able to get down to 53. And let me tell you something. Let's go over these 49ers rosters. So on the offense, wide receiver, you got Ricky Pearsall, Sky Moore, Jawan Jennings, who has a calf injury and a contract situation. You got Jordan Watkins, who has a high ankle sprain, and you got Jacob Cowing, who has a hamstring injury, should be out 6 weeks. You have 2 wide receivers potentially that are healthy. We don't know what's going to happen with Jawan Jennings. Wide receivers looking pretty thin, ladies and gentlemen. Tight end, George Kittle, Jake Tongas, Luke Farrell. I mean, Luke Farrell did blocking tight end. We knew that was happening. George Kittle, best in the league. And Jake Tongas over Braden Will. I was shook. Not going to lie to you. Quarterback, Mac Jones, Brock Purdy. Obviously, we knew they were keeping 2. Mac Jones is your good backup. And, hey, Brock Purdy, he's the franchise, $53 million man. Let's hope they can protect him. Running back, you got Christian McCaffrey. You got Jordan James. I figured they'd keep him. I know he has the broken finger, but when he's on. He's a good young running back. Hopefully he heals up because they need depth behind Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, Brian Robinson Jr. is running back too. The man's a dog. I'm excited to see him. Him and Christian McCaffrey could be the best running back duo in the league. And then you got Isaac Guerrero, who's your running back 3. And, you know, he's not a true running back. He's a weapon. He's a guy that can catch. He could run. He could do a little bit of everything. But he can't really tote the rock for a lot of carries. He is fragile, so you need depth. That's why I was hoping they'd keep Jeff Wilson Jr., but it is what it is. I think Jeff Wilson Jr. could come back on the practice squad. You need the depth because the Niners go through running backs like crazy. So hopefully they can stay healthy, especially CMC. And then you got Kyle Juszczyk as the fullback. Obviously, Juice, big part of the blocking scheme. Offensive line, here we go. You got the offensive line. You got Drew Moss. I was so surprised he made. I'm happy for him. Matt Hennessy, smoking weed in Hennessy. We got Matt Hennessy. He's probably going to be your backup center. Austin Pleasance is there. I thought Austin Pleasance was going to get cut. You got Jake the Snake Brendel. You got Colton McKivitz, Spencer Burford, Connor Colby, Dominic Pooney, Ben Barch, and Trent Williams. Now, your starters are going to be Trent Williams, Ben Barch, Dominic Pooney, Colton McKivitz, and Jake Brendel. They got a lot of depth, actually. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 offensive linemen. They went heavy. They know they need depth, and they need to keep these guys healthy. So they brought 10 offensive linemen. Nothing was too surprising other than they cut Nick Sakelj and they kept Drew Moss. I really was shook. And Austin Pleasance making it. I mean, again, it's just telling you they need the depth. So they brought him and kept him on the roster. So good for him. That's your offense. Your defense, here we go. Defensive line, Bryce Huff, Robert Beal Jr. shook. I was surprised he made it. I just didn't see enough from him. Evan Anderson, again, I thought he was going to be between him and Sebastian Valdez to make this roster. Evan was good last year. I think they really like him. They gave him guaranteed money last year as an undrafted player. So he's definitely a good, fit for them. They like him on this roster. Sam O, I think he's a very underrated player. Jordan Elliott, he's going to be a big rotational piece on the interior D-line. Kalia Davis. You got Yetur Gross-Matos. I don't know about keeping him. I'm not a big Yetur Gross-Matos guy. He gets injured all the time. So it's only a matter of time until YGM gets hurt again. I think they should have kept Sebastian Valdez. You got Alfred Collins, the rookie, Nick Bosa, Michael Williams, the rookie, and CJ West, the rookie. The theme is a lot of rookies on this D-line. They have talent, but can they stay healthy? Can they weather the storm? Will they be able to beat all the adversity and the growing pains? So definitely going to be interesting with that D-line. It has some talent. I'm excited over it. Was surprised about Robert Beal. I think Valdez should have made it over at least him. Linebackers, you got Nick Martin, Tatum Bethune, D. Winters, Fred Warner, and Luke Gifford. I thought they'd go one more linebacker, but they cut a lot of linebackers. And obviously, Fred Warner, D. Winters, that's your 1-2 combo. Nick Martin, he's a really good young linebacker on the rise, and so is Tatum Bethune. And then Luke Gifford, he is a big-time special teams type linebacker, and they love him. So I knew he was making it. I did think one more guy would make it. And again, Stone Blanton, you got Stone Blanton, you got Chaz Surratt. Those two guys are really good, and they'll probably make it back to the practice squad. So, and Jalen Graham, they have a lot of good linebackers that are going to be on the practice squad. Cornerback, a little thin, not going to lie to you. Renardo Green, Upton Stout, Chase Lucas, Darrell Luter was the surprise there. Obviously, you got Renardo Green's going to be CB2, Upton Stout probably going to be your nickel quarterback. I'm happy for Chase Lucas. The guy deserved to make that roster spot. You got Diamond Lenore. He's going to be your CB1. And then Saran Neal, he's your safety / DB / cornerback / special teams. He's your utility man on the defensive back side of things. He's not going to really play corner. He's probably going to be the George Odom type guy. He's a special teamer. Specifically, if you need a guy in a pinch and there's injuries, you can throw Saran Neal in there. But he is your utility special teamer like George Odom was. And then it brings us to safeties. The safety's not the greatest. I was surprised that Richie Grant made the roster. I did not think Richie Grant was going to make this roster. He did. Good for him. I didn't think he was going to make it, but he made it. You got Jason Pinnock. He's probably going to start. You got Jair Brown. I don't know. Jair Brown, he's got a lot to prove. And then you got Marquise Siegel, the rookie. And I love Marquise Siegel. I think he's going to be a starter. Starters are probably going to be Pinnock and Siegel. Safeties are looking a little weak. Not going to lie to you. Little thin. Siegel's going to be great. But depth-wise, if Siegel and Pinnock get hurt, not too sold on Jair Brown and Richie Grant. But we'll see how it goes. And that brings us to the specialists. They got rid of their punter. Now, it's probably because they have roster stuff they have to do tomorrow, place people on injured reserve, etc. But come on, man. When you first look at this, if you're just a casual fan, you look at this roster, you see Jake Moody as the kicker and John Weeks as the long snapper. You don't have a punter. What is going on? But if you saw on social media, Thomas Morstead, the punter, he posted, he tweeted, and he went on Instagram. He said, relax. So he said, relax. Pretty sure he'll be back. But still, it looks crazy not having a punter on the roster. And Jake Moody, he's on thin ice. He's on thin ice, ladies and gentlemen. He's got a few weeks to keep this job, I feel like. At some point, if he continues to wet the bed, they might get rid of him. But it's interesting to know they don't have a punter right now. Like, it's crazy. I know they're going to bring back Thomas Morstead. I know they're probably going to put someone tomorrow on, like, injured reserve or something like that. But it's just weird to look at the roster right now and you're like, huh? They don't have a punter? But it was funny to see the punter say, hey, relax. So that was pretty much the day. It was a crazy day with all those roster moves. And, the emotions. Some players were like, people were pissed at some people, other people. It was crazy, dude. It was actually a crazy, crazy day. You know what I mean? With the roster and everything that played out. Again, I just couldn't believe that certain players like Robbie Chosen, I feel like he should have stayed on the roster. I feel that Sebastian Valdez should have stayed on the roster. I know Jeff Wilson Jr. was going to get cut, but somehow I felt like they should have kept him on the roster. But what are you going to do? It is what it is. So at the end of the day, Niners, they have their 53-man roster, but this is the initial 53-man roster. There's going to be changes. They're going to move things around. They're going to take the roster and place some people on the injured reserve or something like that. There's going to be a lot of transactions in the next couple of days. Players are going to get moved to certain spots. You're going to get the practice squad tomorrow. They'll figure it out. So they still have some roster, gymnastics to complete. So it's not finished 100%, but right now that's your initial roster. I don't know. I'd probably give it a C plus B minus right now. Wide receivers are looking thin, thinner than me. They got cornerbacks looking thin. I don't know. O-line, I'm worried about those guys. The depth, just those guys don't seem to, have that wow factor. But again, you just hope your starters are healthy. As long as Trent Williams is healthy, I think they're going to be okay. Defensive line has potential, but they're a very young bunch. And again, I just was shocked that they got rid of Valdez and kept Robert Beal. I haven't seen Robert Beal do much of anything. So I really thought he was going to get cut. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go live on Instagram. We'll talk about this tonight. Me and Larry will do a full, on show about this. I don't know why the comments aren't working tonight, but we'll fix that. We'll fix the kinks here. We'll fix the bugs. But that's your roster. 53 players have made this roster, but I think that it's still not 100% done, which is actually, to me, it's crazy. You figured out your 53-man roster. You trimmed it down. And you're still really not complete on the roster. Like, it's still not 100%. You got questions at wide receiver. You don't even know what the hell's happening with Jauan Jennings. It's a wild roster, man. It's actually a wild roster. Now, there was a little update, not necessarily an update, but Tim Kawakami, he's been writing about Jauan Jennings all week. And let me tell you what Tim Kawakami said today. He said, it sounds like there's still no resolution in the 49ers Jauan Jennings situation. I don't think either side has ruled out anything. I don't think either side is happy. Deadlines make deals, decisions, whatever. So there's still a stalemate between Jauan Jennings and the 49ers. So it's going to get really interesting. We got a couple of, days, maybe a week and a half until game day. I hope they figure this thing out. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Will they trade him? It's still on the table. Will they sign him? It's still on the table. Is he injured? We don't even know, like, all the answers of Jauan Jennings. Like, is he truly injured? I hope he's not. But at the same time, I hope he's not lying. So yeah, maybe I do hope he's injured for the sense of not being a liar. I don't know. I don't want him to be hurt because I don't wish injuries on anybody. It's just a weird situation. But we'll see how it goes. We'll have updates. If anything happens, obviously, stay tuned. We're finally home, so we'll be able to go live and do all that stuff. But you guys have a good rest of your day. In the comments, in the video, tell me what you think about the roster. Drop your grades. I want you to go crazy. Let me know if you hate it, if you love it. Just let us know. Go have a great rest of your day. We'll be live a little later. As always, go Niners.